Hi there. So, something that clients ask, but also anybody that's embarking on therapy, so sometimes it's students that are studying on counselling courses, ask is how can I be a good client? Um, and what I sort of take that to mean is how can I get the best out of my therapy? How can I sort of embark on this and do whatever I can to make it effective? And that's a tricky question, isn't it? How can I be a good client? I suppose I'd challenge that as it stands. Like there is no good or bad client. There is, in my opinion, no client that's been awkward or no client that is resisting um, therapy or putting blocks in place or anything like that. In my opinion, it's always about safety. Um, that if there is anything that might be getting in the way of the client feeling like they can make the most of the sessions, it's always about safety. That the client might not feel safe yet, or they might not feel safe speaking about what it is that they want to speak about, need to speak about, or they may not feel safe with the therapist in front of them. So when it comes to how can I be a good client, well, it's a lot to it, because there may be things that are getting in the way of you feeling safe. For somebody who is coming into therapy, I'd talk to you about this really. I'd give you this, I guess, advice. When we are talking in this society, quite often, not always, but we are continually filtering what we're talking about. People ask, how are you doing? How are you? And we might say, yeah, surviving, or yeah, I'm fine, or whatever it might be that we come out with in the moment. And this is routinely, especially in my area in Yorkshire, this is how we talk to each other. We're not necessarily looking for the full answer. But this can apply in all sorts of different settings with family, with friends. We might speak about how we are, but miss out a lot of honest thoughts and feelings about how we really are. And there's always a lot of reasons for this. You don't want to burden people. That person's going through a lot themselves. You don't want to you don't want to add to that. Or again, that coming back to that safety, it might not feel safe. The person might judge. The person might share the things you've talked about. So coming back to therapy, the therapist it's in a confidential setting. So the therapist is obligated and contractually going to keep your discussions, your conversations private and confidential, except in certain circumstances which will be outlined in your working agreement at the start of your work with the therapist. So this person in front of you, this therapist, isn't going to go and talk about to your family about stuff and your friends. They are going to keep what you are talking about the vast majority of the time totally confidential. So allow that, if you can, allow that to reassure you as a client. And when you are talking in your therapy and you can feel something that you're talking about bring emotion into your body, you can feel yourself want to swerve away from it and not go into it. In time, those are the things that are important to bring to therapy, and that might be even more worthwhile to bring to therapy. Going where it hurts is a way to get the most out of therapy that you can. But again, it's not just something you can turn on and turn up tomorrow at therapy and just be vulnerable. It does need to feel right and feel safe. And it can be quite new, I think, to speak so candidly and openly about them thoughts that you had before you went to sleep at night, just as you turned your light off, about those fears that racked your brain when you woke up in the middle of the night, about those thoughts when you walk in with your headphones on, wherever you your life takes you. Those thoughts, those fears, the thoughts and fears that you would never imagine verbalizing with somebody, really sharing as much as you are able about what it is to live your life and to be you. And try not to put too much pressure on yourself. I think therapy quite often is expensive, and perhaps some people put pressure on themselves. I need to get the most out of this. I need to get the most out of this. It's costing me a lot. It's a big financial commitment, and for sure it is. And make sure that your therapy is accessible to you financially. And if you are spending more than you can and more than you have on therapy, it will undoubtedly put a lot of pressure on it. So if you are able, and if you need this, try to find somewhere in your area that offers reduced sessions for people of lower incomes, so that you don't feel that I've got to make the most quickly, because that's pressure that you don't really need. But for those of you that have made that journey and you've decided how much you can spend on therapy and you've decided to embark on therapy, I would put this to you. If I said to you, I'm not going to say this, but this is hypothetical, give me £1,000 and you will feel a lot better. Yeah, you will feel a lot better about everything in your life. A lot of people wouldn't necessarily have £1,000, but in theory they would be happy to pay that huge sum of money to feel a lot better about their lives. And therapy is a fantastic and amazing gift to yourself, and you're effectively paying these sums of money in installments. Yeah, you've committed to spending this money for the hopes of a good outcome. And if you're concerned about, is this actually working? Is it worthwhile for me? Speak to your therapist really openly about that. Really as openly as you can muster. Remember, it's not like usual relationships where it has to be, or it might feel like quite a big deal to say, what's going on between us? Is this effective? I probably need more of this. I probably need less of that. We wouldn't maybe necessarily do that as often with people in our lives, but with your therapist you can be very, very open, and I invite you to do that. Be very, very open with your therapist and say, I'm not sure I'm getting much better. Okay, good. Well, not good, but good that you're raising it honestly. Let's look at it together. Nurture that relationship with your therapist and have it be as transparent as you possibly can. And then the relationship, we speak about this as therapists, the relationship is the cure. I don't like that, but the relationship is what makes therapy effective. So if you can be as open and transparent about how you're experiencing the therapist, the work you're doing with the therapist, as you possibly can. And I do invite you to be very open and honest. If your therapist feels like they are dismissive of something perhaps that you've said, I invite you to say, it feels like you're dismissing that. I need to talk about that, or I need to feel like I can talk about it with you. And if you need time, if you know that your therapy is going to be long term, be honest and just say, look, I am in for the long haul. Be patient with me. I'm going to need time. And I know that I'm going to need time, and just be really transparent and rock up to therapy and just say, I really didn't want to come today, or I was really needing to come today. Just that relationship is what makes therapy great and as effective as it can be. But be gentle on yourself, because safety, we all ultimately want to feel safe. All right, so thank you for joining me, and I will catch up with you again soon. Okay, bye bye.